The one thing that legislatures can do, in a sense, has been taken away from us with regard to improving the economic picture of a state because of the tremendous cuts that have been visited upon the states. We've had to pull back.
Oklahoma Christian College has something unusual, a 16 by 16 Thomas Alva Edison. Edison doesn't live alone. Capitalist pals like Alexander Graham Bell and George Washington Carver also reside in the new $15 million Enterprise Square.
The Earthlings sure seem to have a lot of decisions to make.
But their decisions make their baffled, economic system work.
The Muppets serve as tour guides to clarify the concepts behind free enterprise. By just following the monitors, a visitor can peruse the 16 exhibits in the 60,000 square foot museum.
We've used the latest technology that's been developed for entertainment, combined it with educational message of economics to make this really the outstanding, I would say, attraction in the country.
But even in this fantasy land, there's a villain. The face of government explains that its job is to protect a free market society, but it can go out of control by using too much regulatory power. And what would any tribute to free enterprise be without a video game arcade? Here the games aren't Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. They have names like Home Builder and Inflation.
Pac-Man's just a game, but this one, it's more or less facts of life that you need.
Of course, any true Southwesterner would like the game Oil Tycoon the best. I struck it rich again. That's another $1 million. Eat your heart out, JR. Bill Ross Action 4 at Enterprise Square.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled cause upon our oaths. The bailiff will hand it to the court. Jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try. Is this the verdict of each of these? Our feelings keep ladies and gentlemen.
I knew in my heart I was innocent, so whatever anybody else decided really didn't matter at the time. You know, I'm glad that they came back with a not guilty. I'm guarantee you that. I feel sorry for the Carter family on that respect. You know, I can understand their view of looking at me like that and all. And you know, it's really a tragedy that it happened, but you know, I didn't have nothing to do with it.
We felt that there should not have been any hypnotic testimony allowed. We did not get certain exculpatory evidence, which apparently existed and was denied. We had problems with the admissibility of the bite mark at the Harmon case for the reason that they had not completed the testing in order to properly admit it.
first of these measures involves advance notification of all United States and Soviet test launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles. We will also seek Soviet agreement on notification of all sea-launched ballistic missiles, as well as intermediate-range land-based ballistic missiles of the type we've currently negotiating.
The Canadian County Jail is the state's oldest lockup. According to Health Department inspectors, it's also one of the state's worst. 2 weeks ago, jail inspectors ordered the slammer shut because it failed to meet state standards. Since then, the sheriff has been making repairs to bring his jail up to snuff. He's cleared out his upstairs cells and reduced his jail population from 32 to 17. About a dozen prisoners have been farmed out to the El Reno City Jail. Apparently, the health department is satisfied with the progress made so far. Department officials today signed an agreement to let the jail remain open if repairs are completed within 5 days. County officials see the agreement as a short-term fix for their jail problem. They're also investigating a more permanent solution.
What we're working on right now is the idea and the feasibility of putting a cell block over here on the north side of the jail, which hopefully we've got enough funds on hand to possibly house 30 to 40 prisoners there. And I think that's going to be our solution. And then as we go along, it'll be designed in such a way where we can add to it as we go along with more revenue.
Building a new cell block would ease the overcrowding crunch, at least for a while. However, the Canadian County Commissioners would prefer that the legislature give them the power to levy a 1-cent sales tax. The commissioners figure a penny sales tax for 1 year would pay for a new jail. Scott Wallace, Action 4 at the Canadian County Jail.
This is to the general public and the press. It's dated November 24, 1982, and it says, effective midnight, I will be retiring as director of the OBNDD, this after 10 years and 5 months service in drug law enforcement and 12 years law enforcement total. After a 2 months vacation, I will be returning to the private business sector and to further my education. I greatly appreciate the patience and sacrifices that my family and friends have given to me during my law enforcement career. We have made great strides and accomplishments in 10.5 years of fighting drugs in Oklahoma. I am happy to have been a part of that. I hope and trust the agency will continue to lead the battle against drugs and crime in our state. I only regret that most of my time was spent waging that battle in person instead of behind my desk. I credit much of our success to the media for their relentless efforts in exposing the real problems about drugs and drug abuse. I know they will continue their effort. I am looking forward to becoming a private citizen again. Sincerely, Warren Henderson.
Volunteers have been busy preparing this special meal since 3:30 this morning. More than 30 turkeys, 200 pounds of stuffing, and 1,000 dinner rolls will be served today from the Salvation Army kitchens. Thousands of needy city residents braved today's cold temperatures for the free Thanksgiving meal, a dinner they probably would have done without.
There's only one thing I'm thankful for, and that's the man up above. And the people here at the Salvation Army are very nice. And I'm really glad they're having something decentable to eat. For once in their life, they're doing something right.
One Salvation Army volunteer attributed today's exceptionally big crowd to the nation's bad economic times. But the people here weren't concerned about high interest rates or the gross national product. All they wanted was a free Thanksgiving meal. And the Salvation Army made sure they had one. At the Salvation Army, Kurt Autry, Action 4.
Christmas decorations are in place at local shopping centers. But is it really the season to be jolly? Local merchants hope to answer that question this weekend. The Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving are usually a good barometer of Christmas business. Today is traditionally one of the busiest shopping days of the year. President Reagan hopes Americans will spend the country out of the current recession. Economy watchers say if it doesn't happen during Christmas, then it isn't going to happen. So merchants will be watching for shoppers more anxiously than in previous years. And the shoppers we spoke with said they plan to pick their Christmas presents carefully.
I think we're all just trying to be more reasonable this year and just realizing that the economy is getting worse here in Oklahoma, and we're finally having to deal with what the rest of the country's been dealing with probably for the last year or two.
I'm gonna get these sales. I'm gonna get stuff on, like on sale, catch it on sale, and buy it then, instead of waiting, until the sale goes off and it'd be more.
I want to see it right now. I don't want to wait a month or two to see it. I want to see what it looks like within the first day if I can. The chainsaw is just the tool I used. All I've done basically is just motorized the gouge. It's no different than using a hand mallet and the gouge. But I've just sped it up and make it go a lot faster by using it and the way I've got my chainsaw fixed. And so it's the same thing. Even if I was using a mallet, it would be the same thing.
Time passes slowly for the guards at the Seminole Tribal Complex in Wewoka. Most of the time there's little to do. For almost 3 months, guards have monitored the comings and goings of everyone at the tribe's headquarters. It's all because of a dispute between two men who claim to be chief. Jim Milam and his followers control the complex, but Edward Tanyan says the tribal council voted Milam out and that he, Tanyan, is the rightful chief. Sometimes things have gotten out of hand. On November 8th, someone took pot shots at the tribe's headquarters. Milam's followers think the shots came from the area of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The BIA building is across the street. No one has been charged in connection with the crime. But now the confrontation is apparently changing, from a battle of bullets to a war of words.
C.B. Abel, Deputy U.S. Marshal, there's a summons and an order. Okay. And that's to appear in Muskogee at 1:30 tomorrow.
Today, federal marshals brought 55 subpoenas to the complex. The subpoenas call for Milam and his followers to appear in federal court to show why they shouldn't be evicted. The BIA says it's neutral in the dispute between Milam and Tanyan, but Milam says the Bureau is against him.
They have shot down democracy. I am the elected chief. According to this thing here, Ed Tanyan is the selected chief. And to me, we have to go someplace to where we can be assured of the fact that we are going to get justice.
This afternoon, Milam got some good news. A trial between Milam and Tanyan had already been scheduled in Washington on December 8th. The D.C. court ruled the Oklahoma hearing had to be postponed until after the Washington trial.
Okay.
So at least until then, two things are certain. Milam's guards will continue to keep a watchful eye on the gates. And the Seminole Nation will continue to be a nation divided. Bill Ross, Action 4 in Wewoka.
The layoffs at the GM plant in Midwest City were the first indications the national recession was creeping into Oklahoma. The unemployment rate climbed steadily until many Sooners joined the ranks of those in economic despair. Slipping revenues means the state's operating budget will only be up by 2.7% next year, well below the rate of inflation. Predictions of excess funds don't exist, and state legislators will be forced into making some pretty tough decisions. The corrections and education departments won't get their increases, and if the state plans to continue the much-needed improvements on roads and highways, many agencies will face dramatic cuts. Legislative leaders have tried anticipating the problem, but most lawmakers will be shocked by the effects on state government.
But the average legislator in January is going to be like the average Oklahoma citizen. You know, they're going to be surprised by the intensity of the downturn. They're going to be surprised by the difficulty of the task that we're going to face, trying to meet Oklahoma's needs on the amount of revenues that we're going to have available.
Randall believes the current situation could work to the good of the state. The challenge of running Oklahoma with fewer dollars will force a streamlining of state agencies and could introduce an opportunity for innovative solutions to some of Oklahoma's problems. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 at the state capitol.
The county courthouse was buzzing today. The reason? There were reports that Special Judge William Page is under investigation for alleged ties to drug dealers.
The Daily Oklahoman reported the investigation was started because of Page's lifestyle while he was an assistant district attorney making less than $30,000 a year. Earlier this year, Page left his job as assistant DA to accept an appointment as a special judge. In November, he was elected district judge.
The judges would...
Judge Homer Smith said Page is scheduled to take office as district judge on January 10th. Until then, Page will continue as a special judge. Special judges can be removed if a majority of the district judges want them out. But Smith doesn't think that will happen to Page.
I don't believe that the judges are going to jump up and fire somebody just because of rumor or speculation or because they're under investigation.
Page is with most of the Oklahoma County District and Special Judges at the State Bar Convention in Tulsa. He was unavailable for comment. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the DA's office, the FBI, and the Bureau of Narcotics had no comment about this investigation. Bill Ross, Action 4 at the county courthouse.
Collections as anticipated by the estimate income at this time from the figures of the tax. So in round numbers, it's 140 plus needed, 120. The collections of the month of November remain down, short approximately $18 million. And at this time, I'm alerting all agencies of state government that this month's allocations will be reduced by approximately 13% across the board from the general fund allocation. As you recall, I'm required by the
The Myriad Convention Center was all but empty today as 41 young women from all over the United States mounted their trusty steeds to compete for the crown of Miss Rodeo America. The girls have been in Oklahoma City since Tuesday, preparing for competition in horsemanship, poise, and beauty. All are champions in their own right and have won numerous competitions in their home state. But this week's event is the big one, and only one girl will come away victorious. Although there is no fanfare or a big crowd watching the contest, the girls are tense coming out of the chute. This event means as much to them as tomorrow night's calf roping competition to their male counterparts. The winner will be crowned on Sunday night. Tony Stizza, Action 4 at the Myriad.
Wagoner Deputy Sheriff Jim Lowry has been in law enforcement most of his life. When he joined the Wagoner County Sheriff's Department in 1979, Lowry was given a used highway patrol car with more than 80,000 miles on it to cover more than half the county. But now the Excise Board and the Wagoner County Commissioners say they can't afford to maintain those patrol cars. The commissioners have recommended they be sold and the deputies drive their own vehicles. But patrolling a large area like Wagoner County will cost money, more than the $700 these men bring home each month. The county says they will reimburse the officers 22 cents a mile for using their own cars, but Sheriff Clyde Watkins believes that's still not good enough.
We have 5 field deputies to cover 563 square miles. It's extremely difficult because we don't have the personnel that it requires to patrol the county as it should be patrolled.
Earlier today, Sheriff Watkins threatened to park the department's fleet and call the governor to send in the National Guard. But now the department has decided to appease the county commissioners and use their own vehicles on a trial basis. But the sheriff still faces another problem. Not only will he lose his cars, he now expects the resignation of several deputies. In Wagoner, Kurt Autry, Action 4.
We have some ongoing programs, particularly in the area of work-at-home schemes that, as a matter of fact, we're giving more emphasis to this type activities right now. People that are advertising are soliciting funds for a purportedly worthwhile enterprise to benefit some needy people. That so frequently these the funds do not go to the people that need them.
And if the state has no objection, if you would bring with you your own notes to help refresh your memory. Sharps Cleaners, the north side of Sharps Cleaners, and yes, sir, it did.
Exculpatory in nature, and I'll present that to you, but in no way should this be considered to be actual.
It isn't clear exactly what Congress will do about the cost of natural gas. There are 150 bills before the session that would institute some form of regulation. It was only 4 years ago that a gradual deregulation went into effect. The idea was that if producers could recoup more of the production cost, they would produce more gas and cut reliance on foreign products. Producers say now that they understand the consumers' complaints about high gas prices, but regulation is not an answer.
Investors also will, I think, be less likely to invest money in an industry that is subject to on-again, off-again regulations when today's plans may fall flat on their face tomorrow.
Many producers say they don't expect new regulations to come out of the lame duck session, but they are afraid that regulation of natural gas is on the way. If that has the predicted effect on investors, it could mean trouble for smaller producers. Fewer investment dollars going into natural gas means fewer producers will be able to share them. Charles Schnetzer, Action 4.
Oklahoma's prisons are filling up fast. 11 months ago, only a handful of inmates had to share cells. Now nearly 2,400 prisoners live in cells designed for half that many. The prison population has been growing by between 100 and 180 convicts per month. The overcrowding has state corrections officials worried.
Okay, the next table, table 3.
The Oklahoma Corrections Board heard the bad news today from prison planners. If the system keeps growing at the present rate, the state could need between 23 and 33 new correctional institutions within the next few years.
I think that we may not have any choice but to build. At any rate, whatever we do, it would be nice if the whole criminal justice system were looked at in a totality, and that we did not just make piecemeal decisions. I am very concerned that these costs are going to affect the taxes and the commitment of state government for every future generation, and so whatever we do and whatever the legislature does is going to affect people in the pocketbook.
The Corrections Board voted unanimously to ask the legislature to begin a prison building program, and at the same time to consider alternatives to putting offenders behind bars, alternatives like victim restitution and raising the current $50 felony limit. The board's resolution is only a suggestion. It'll be up to the state legislature and the federal courts to decide the ultimate shape of Oklahoma's prisons. Scott Wallace, Action 4 at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center.
I think that we may not have any choice but to build. At any rate, whatever we do, it would be nice if the whole criminal justice system were looked at in a totality, and that we did not just make piecemeal decisions. I am very concerned that these costs are going to affect the taxes and the commitment of state government for every future generation, and so whatever we do and whatever the legislature does is going to affect people in the pocketbook.
Search coming along fine. A few of us are looking at different buildings. I just got through at 2609 West Main. It's fairly near where the service center was located. It looks like it's very spacious, and it's near the poor that we've been helping before. So it's in the preliminary stages. Everything seems to be going real well.
it's a combination of happenings. One, the cow has to be active, and two, the horse has to anticipate and react to every movement that the cow makes. It may be just the flick of an ear, but that horse will respond. And they have to work head to head with the cow. They have to anticipate the move. Some horses in there would slip a little bit. They might have a little bit of problems on a fast cow. They might have trouble stopping and turning. But basically this is a combination of breeding, and it's also a combination of training.